Hey, what's going on, YouTubers? This is Zen from Zen Multiverse, and I hope you're having a great day. So, today on Powers Discussed, we are breaking down the powers of Godzilla. Now, we know that there's a movie coming out, the Godzilla vs. Kong movie, and it is going to be phenomenal. Just ride in terms of just pure awesomeness. Now, there's a lot of debates, right, about who's going to win, and I'm going to make two videos, and this is the first out of the two. And this one in particular is why
Jesus
Godzilla is
Christ!
going to win, right? While talking about his powers. So let's discuss his powers, okay? One of the let's talk about the physical attributes of Godzilla himself, right? He's a towering character that seems to be reminiscent of both a combination of, let's just say, a T-Rex, right, and also kind of like a crocodile or of sorts, right, in terms of the scales and the plates on the back and things of that nature, right? Now, of course, we're not going to get into the actual size, but he's a towering beast of a character, right? When you look up, you're just probably just looking at his nails, right? Because that's how big and towering he is, right? In terms of the movement creates a shock wave within the the vicinity that you're in, right? So if Godzilla just like stomps right next to you, you're done. You've just put yourself into a earthquake. But we're just talking about his physical feats, right? He could basically like tear apart a mountain, right? So just to give you a little inclination in terms of like what we mean in terms of like strength, right? It would be unfair to say super strength because super strength is usually applied to humanoid-based characters, but he is far more vast than that, of course. Now, one of his main abilities, right? That is one of his best parts of his arsenal is his atomic breath. Now, a lot of people get this confused. They think that his atomic breath is actually him breathing fire, but just with another color. Now, there are different iterations of Godzilla that we've seen throughout the years, right? Like such as Shin Godzilla, who was able to utilize some kind of flame conjunction to shoot that out in the form of a blast. But for the atomic blast in itself, he is utilizing and harnessing the abilities, right, or the consumption of radioactivity within his own body, and then basically narrowing it down and channel it through the scales that he has on his back or the plates that he has on his tail all the way through his vertebrae towards the spine, and then it then is centered and ejected through his mouth, right? Through his esophagus, rather. Okay. It is not a fire breath. It is pure radioactivity at its I would say at its finest, right? For lack of better words. Now, when we get into just to get more into the his atomic breath. Now, his atomic breath in itself is concussive. Okay. Now, when I say concussive, it isn't something, yes, it is something that could technically burn, right? But its main force, if we look at other beings or monsters that he's used it against, even in the past years, it's been pretty consistent that every time he shoots the blast, it isn't something that burns, it's something that pushes back, right? Or it's something that creates a apocalyptic type of impact, right? So it now it can burn things, right? But it's really deteriorating things because of the radioactivity. Now, which leads into just Godzilla himself, right? He is literally a radioactive walking vessel, right? His body is imbued with radioactivity. It heals him, which leads into another ability that he has. Now, this is one of the ones that's been pretty inconsistent, but if we're only looking at the movies, he does have the ability to heal. He has regenerative base abilities. And that simply means that if he gets a cut, a bruise, anything where he's hurt to a certain degree, he can um, basically heal himself on a cellular level. Now, it can increase in speed if he is close by a radioactive base source, right? So the faster he's able to absorb the radioactivity, the faster he's able to heal. And the same is also true on the opposite scale, right? If he gets really badly wounded, and if he isn't close to a source, then it's going to take a long time for him to heal. Okay. And we've seen this in the movies before too. Now let's talk about one of his other abilities, which leads me to believe why, they show it in the trailers, but why I think Godzilla is definitely going to win. Now, Godzilla predominantly lives underwater. Now, a lot of people don't think about it like that because for the most of the movie, we see him above ground. But when he's underwater, he's doing his thing and he's moving like an amphibian, amphibious type of creature, right? um, he isn't really put in much force in order for him to move, right? He's actually just soaring through what would be if he was flying, right? It looks like for him, it looks like flying, but underwater, right? He's just soaring through, right? Now Kong, on the other hand, like most likely he's humanoid, right? So if he has the ability to swim, it's going to be very reminiscent to a human, right? Now, who has the greater advantage there? Godzilla does, right? And let's talk about it a little bit more. Godzilla can utilize his atomic breath literally anywhere. So he could also use it underground too, or underwater, right? He could literally do pretty much all of his abilities underwater, but for the most part doesn't really choose to because most of his enemies are on land. But when we look at the trailer, we do see Kong facing off against um, Godzilla, right? Which is pretty phenomenal. It's cool, but at the same time, it lets you know a couple of things what we could see from this trailer. From the trailer, we saw Kong n- punch Godzilla in his face and then basically push him back for him to basically turn his head right all the way to the right, and he stumbled, right? But we also saw in the Japanese trailer that I just dropped for a reaction for it that Godzilla's little hand, right, reminiscent to a T-Rex, but just bigger, of course, he slaps he slaps Kong and is able to knock him down, which leads me to believe a couple of things, right? In terms of magnitude of strength and physical attributes, Godzilla possesses a higher level of that, okay? Of just physical prowesses in terms of his physical output, right? Now, this might be confusing for some, but we're just looking at the punches, the punch and the slap, right? A slap, right, does not contain the same magnitude of strength that a punch would normally have. Now, I know this is kind of an awkward debate because Godzilla can't formally make a punch, right? He probably can make a punch, but for him, the slaps and the moving around are what he needs to do to create that force and that impact, right? But now, if we're looking at a punch, right, we know that if you're creating like a haymaker or even just um, a cross, right, which is basically or a straight jab, we saw pretty much got if we slow down the trailer, right, we saw Kong pretty much turn his entire torso in order to make that punch go straight through, right? Meaning he had to put his body into it. Now, let's flip it, right? Godzilla basically was in a sturdy position, but still created that same force with a slap, if not greater. Watch the trailer again and watch the both trailers and then compare and contrast, right? Um, so I think in combination with the atomic breath, his amphibian type movement that he could have, that and his healing factor, that Godzilla will definitely win. Now, there's another argument to this, right? And that's the video I'm gonna make. Why Kong would win. I do have another. I have a whole. Even though I'm a fan of Godzilla, can see the other side. I can see over the picket fence, right? To see like, oh, there's another side to this, right? But I'm biased. Godzilla will win. What do you all think in terms of the his concussive atomic blast? And here's the thing, guys, we didn't see all of his abilities. Now, I could have went a whole lot longer. He has way more powers if we're going into the previous series of Godzilla, but I'm only going by the movies in terms of the concussive blast, his radioactivity based aura, right? And things of that nature. He does have a weakness, right? Um, Electricity seems to be a weakness of Godzilla if we're looking at past movies and things of that nature, right? But we're not going to get too much into that. But I'm just telling you why I think he would win, right? He has a strength on the highest echelon for um, a beast of his size, if not greater, right? In terms of like, if we're thinking about like how much he weighs, it's obvious that he most likely weighs more, right? Especially around the gut area than Kong himself, right? Um, but that weight puts him in a sturdy position to weighs it leads him to be grounded, right? And this is another reason why I think that punch didn't really knock him all the way on yonder, right? It's not that I don't think that Kong's punch was strong enough. I just think like the weight was distributed in a very specific way that allowed Godzilla to just be like, whatever, Godzilla slap, boom. You know what I mean? But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this in terms of the powers of Godzilla. And yeah, this is Zen from Zen Multiverse saying peace, love, and prosperity. If you enjoy my content, drop me a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's jam out in the comment section, right? If you're a Kong lover, tell me why you think he would win. If you're a Godzilla winner, if you're a Godzilla lover, tell me why you think he would win. Let's debate, let's jam out, and let's talk. All right, everyone, take care. Peace. So,